Folks, it's my honor to interact with very prominent personality, Dr. Mukesh Aghi today. Dr. Mukesh Aghi is President and CEO of Washington, D.C. based U.S. India Strategic Forum, U.S. India Strategic Partnership Forum. Dr. Aghi has extensive experience working with business and the government leaders in the U.S. and India to promote trade and strengthen ties between the two countries. Dr. Aghi, welcome. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal.
Sri Akal ji.
Dr. Aghi, as a CEO of U.S. India Strategic Partnership Forum, kindly educate us briefly on the main areas of the India Forum has focused on since its inception. Please
So
tell
we,
us.
so we were, Sukhi ji, we were formed in 2017
Okay,
eh, as an independent institution focusing on all aspect of U.S.-India relationship,
okay,
be it geopolitical, economic, healthcare, technology, startups, or people to people.
okay,
As government come and go, it was important to have one single institution focus on providing that support. So we tend to work both with the US government, with the
okay.
Indian government, we work with corporate America, corporate India to ensure that we are able to provide right messaging, right influencing to broaden and deeper this critical relationship between India and the US.
Very good. And what has been the main challenge so far carrying the forward agenda of U.S. India Strategic Partnership Forum?
So I think you have to understand that two broad principles we focus on as we drive this relationship. One principle is that economic prosperity of India is good for America and American companies.
Okay.
When you look at companies such as Google, Amazon, WhatsApp, or Uber, they all dominate the Indian market, whereas they have been completely shut out of China.
Uh-huh.
The second aspect of the principle we work is a military strong India is good for regional stability. And so we make sure that when the Quad is taking shape, we are providing all the necessary information, localization, technology transfer, technology partnership, so India become much, much more self-sufficient as it moves forward. So the challenges we see, to answer your question, is always speed.
Mhm.
And between the two bureaucracies, which is the government, but what we see is speed coming from the private sector, especially companies investing in India and Indian company investing in the US. And I would say the momentum is still very positive of India, very strong in India, and we expect this relationship to keep on moving forward in a positive manner.
Very good. And please also tell us our views, the role the forum has played in strengthening the bilateral relationship between the two largest democracy of the world in the various fields.
So we focus, for example, let's talk about the on the trade side.
Uh-huh.
Today, the trade between India and the US is around $142 billion.
Okay.
And our ambition is to take this trade to $500 billion.
Mhm.
So, what will it take to get this trade going? Because as you have more trade, it creates more jobs, more investment, and more technology transfer itself.
Mhm.
So, we are focused in ensuring that whatever hurdles are, they are managed. For example, if there is a policy issue coming out of India, we engage early on, give them feedback, work with the parliamentary committee on those issues, work with the central government on those issues. At the same time, we keep on educating the White House, the Commerce Department, the USTR, to make sure things move in the right direction. And what we see is that places we succeed, there are places we struggle, but overall the impact is very, very positive. So that's one aspect. So the second aspect is current crisis, which is taking place in India on COVID scenario,
Mhm.
where we have formed a emergency team and we are moving substantial amount of supplies in partnership with private companies. For example, last week we were able to move 11 1-ton cryogenic oxygen tanks into India, airlifting them from different part of the world, from Dubai, from Singapore, from Bangkok.
mhm,
And then we have focused on trying to supply oxygen concentrator to India,
mhm,
and we're committed to supply 100,000 concentrators. And so we have planes taking on a daily basis, on
mhm,
the average, 1,000 concentrators every day into India for the month of May.
mhm.
You have to understand each consignment of 1,000, they weigh 1.5 tons. So it is a lot of cargo space, a lot of logistic challenges,
Mhm.
but it is a crisis which we need to take head on and support India as it moves forward.
Very good. Especially, I'll come back to the pandemic. Before I that, actually, I want to ask, as a member of the Quad, what do you perceive the United States and India, and also as a member, as a benefit of the viewer, please clarify the role of the Quad in protecting the India's security interest in the region.
So you have to understand the four democracies in Asia, Australia, Japan, India, and the US,
Mhm,
have come together called the Quad, which is focused on maintaining the international rule and order itself. And
mhm,
unless you have certain guidelines, rules, uh, acceptance by all countries, you cannot have a world working together itself. And so Quad's objective is to collaborate, especially ensuring that the passage of the Indian Ocean is open for free trade. Ships can move back and forth without any hindrance, without any threats, and without any objections. So the Quad's objective is to patrol the open seas with the international water to support the ships. Now we're looking at Quad also coming in the area of economic cooperation.
mhm.
You have to understand the four countries' total GDP is around $33 trillion. It's a large market.
Right.
And if India can get cheap capital from Japan, it can get innovative technology from Australia, it can get basically large infrastructure investment from US, it
Mhm,
is a win-win. The Quad is also focused on vaccine diplomacy, where they announced that India will produce 1 billion Johnson & Johnson vaccines funded by US and Japan and distributed by Australia. So what we're seeing is a Quad is not just a security alliances, it is moving into economic partnership and other areas which has a win-win scenario, not only for four countries, but also regional security.
very good. Thank you. Especially coming back to the pandemic, what do you think? Is there any need to have the better coordination and the cooperation between the US and India to tackle the worsening and the COVID pandemic, the second wave situation in India? And also, what role do you see the forum will play to achieve this objective?
So Sukhi, I think it's important to understand pandemic is not limited to geographies, which is India and the US.
Agree.
It is global,
Mhm,
and we have to have a strategy as to how you basically deal with globally.
mhm,
But at the same time, countries are saying, if we have to help the world, we need to get our house in order.
mhm.
And if you look at last year, US went through a major crisis and pandemic where the hospital system were overstressed.
Right,
People were lying in corridors, ambulances were lined up, and mortuary trucks were lined up.
right,
And that's the time India stepped up and gave a lot of medicine to the US.
right,
Now India is going through its own second wave, which is normal, and the whole Indian healthcare infrastructure is in a crisis.
right.
And that's where US is stepping up and providing a lot of support to India. And I think it's important that to deal with crisis, yes, you have to make sure that you are able to provide proper healthcare support to the citizens. But I think beyond that, you have to have a vaccination diplomacy. It is important that India vaccinates, just like US has vaccinated almost 44% of its population with a single dose and almost 32% with a double dose as of today.
Uh-huh.
So I think India will need help in basically increasing the capacity on vaccination so it can not only just vaccinate 1.3 billion people, but the rest of the world. So you will see more collaboration and partnership between India and the US in COVID vaccination.
Very good. Also, Dr. Saab, like, do you foresee any major policy shift between the U.S. position and also India with the change in the government in the United States?
So I think you have to understand the geopolitically alignment between the two countries are strong.
Mhm.
And regardless of its Republican administration or Democratic administration, uh, the support has been very, very strong between India and the US because the whole value system, the whole geopolitical, economic interest, technology interest, and energy security is interwoven between two countries. So we see this getting deeper and broader.
Mhm.
Yes, you will have disagreements, but that's normal. In a family, you have disagreements. But
Okay.
there's maturity on both sides to deal with those issues and take those forward. So we expect the relationship continue in a positive way, regardless of who comes and goes from a political aspect of both nations.
Thank you. And what do you, in your option, what do you think actually? So going forward, what will be the level of cooperation between the two countries in next 10 years, in contrast to the aggressive posture by the China against its neighbor, including India?
Well, you have to understand, China's position on India is that it will never accept India as an equal partner and a neighbor. And what we saw in Ladakh and what we saw China posture refusing India to become a permanent member of Security Council
Mhm.
or trying to get membership in nuclear supplier
Mhm.
group also. So I think China has made it very clear. And then you have to understand region alignment. China, Iran, and Pakistan is aligning itself. And what we are seeing is an alignment between Russia and China. So I think there's no choice left for India that you have a neighbor which can be belligerent, you have a neighbor which can be aggressive. On its own, India cannot take China. So it is being forced in some way to align with US, aligned with Japan, aligned with Australia, and other democracies to protect its interest. Because I think India needs, for next 20 years, economic growth to raise the quality of life of its citizens. It needs next 20 years investment coming from around the world to make India into a 21st century from an infrastructure perspective. So I think India can't afford to have any kind of war with anybody for time being. Its focus has to be economic interest, economic growth. So I think the relationship with China is critical because we share a border of 3,000 plus kilometer long. But at the same time, I think India has to maintain its sovereignty, has to protect its border, and that's where U.S. India relationship gets much stronger there.
Very good. Thank you. And also now, Dr. Like, yeah, let's come back to the education. In your view, the number of the Indian students coming to the US for pursuing the higher education, kindly explain how the forum play the helpful role in this regard, since the number of the Indian students are much less as compared to the students coming from China.
So, today we have approximately 200,000 Indian students in America.
Mhm.
They contribute $9 billion into the local economy,
Okay.
and most of them are in STEM program.
Mhm.
And we have a shortage in the US of 1 million software engineers today.
Okay.
So when quite a few of them stay back, they contribute day one
Mhm.
as a tax-paying citizen. They innovate, they make companies more efficient, effective, competitive.
Mhm.
And the one who go back, they become goodwill ambassador of America in India.
Mhm.
So our objective to see if we can take those to 500,000.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we're also working with US universities to open their campuses in India. So it becomes much more cost effective for a lot of these students to study in India, get same quality of education, and flourish, not just only in the Indian economy, but in a global economy.
Right.
So our effort is to ensure that there's more cooperation, especially US research-led universities. because the whole ecosystem they build on innovation is badly needed in the Indian universities, and that's where we're focusing quite a bit.
Very good. Dasab, in the end, what message you would like to give it to our viewers, especially regarding the support for the India's COVID crisis going on right now?
I think it's important to understand that we have 4.5 million Indian Americans in the US,
Right.
and they have a role to play. And the role is how do you basically align the two countries,
Hmm.
talk to your congressmen, senators to make sure that at least that alignment is taking place.
Hmm.
From a COVID perspective, I think get engaged with your gurudwaras, with your mosques, with your temples, with your churches,
Hmm.
to make sure that whatever they're providing reaches India. And if you want to talk to USISPF, the forum itself, go to our website and you can also support us from there. But I
Hmm.
think it's important. The speed is of essence because the
Hmm.
virus seems to be getting much more aggressive. And we are seeing almost 4,000 deaths per day in India.
Hmm.
And the number is not abating.
Hmm.
And we expect this thing peaking more like end of May itself. And between now and May, you will see a lot of infection, a lot of death. So the faster we move a lot of stuff, you can save more lives. So anywhere, anyhow, you can support it. We will welcome that and appreciate it.
Dasab, thank you very much, and you are doing the excellent job, actually, especially in this area. Where do the people can find the information, more information? What is the your website address where the people can go and find out? And also, on behalf of the Khalsa today, I really appreciate all the members of the USISPF. They are doing the excellent job at this time. Where we can find the more information on your website?
So if you go to a website which is
Hmm.
usispf.org,
Okay.
usispf.org, it has all the information. We give you status, what we're shipping. We give you status, what will get shipped in the next few weeks itself. And if you want to help contribute, you can do that. And, that's where you'll get all the information.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mukeshi. I know actually you have very busy schedule. Thank you very much. Really appreciate taking the time out of your busy schedule. So we'll stay in touch. Looking forward to talk to you very soon. Again,
Thank you. Sat Sri Akal ji.
Sat Sri Akal. Thank you.